have
You
started.
saw me, right? So I can.
Sure, I have started the recording. Okay. So here, like custom settings, I am yet to explain. So again, this is a small concept which we will be doing in development. Actually, in development, this would be coming. So
Okay.
custom settings, creating tabs, we have seen objects, multi-currency, multi-language. It actually will come when you are in a real-time environment. When you're having, when your company or your business is having, a dispersed environment or a distributed environment in which you are being operating in different geographical locations. At that time, you would be having this. This is actually again on the user page. If you just enable it, it would be, you will have to check with the Salesforce actually. Even though you are paying, even though you buy $300 current paid license, just you will have to raise a case to Salesforce asking for multi-currency, so that they would enable it. They would give you an option of enabling it. Once enabled, automatically you would ask for your default currency. So for the client which I worked, the default currency was USD. So after which, and in all the nations which they were working, automatically, according to their local, it will change the language. Along with custom settings, there is one concept called custom label, wherein which the translation of the page should will automatically change, because when you are seeing, all things should look in English. When a Chinese is seeing, all things should look in Chinese and Chinese language. Same way for Japanese, Spanish. So for that, you are developing an application where in which you are placing one text. For example, like a error message, if you are placing it, when you are saying it should be in English. When I am saying it should be in Japanese. When a Spanish is saying it should be in Spanish language. So for that, Salesforce has made an availability, like custom label is there. And now they have introduced custom metadata. So earlier and all, it is not possible to migrate metadata from one sandbox to another sandbox. For example, like what I to explain what is a metadata, right? All objects, fields, your relationships, whatever workflows, approval process, picklist values, page layout, whatever we are seeing in data modeling, everything is a metadata actually. Data, the information of data about data is called as a metadata. Okay, so when you are migrating from sandbox to production or sandbox to test environment, you can only migrate metadata. The data which are kept inside that cannot be done. But now there is an option which in the last release Salesforce has introduced, where in which custom metadata. So custom settings I would be explaining, but if you want, like I can give an overview. But definitely I will be doing everything in I will be showing it in development actually. Custom settings, if you see the thing is, if you don't want to, for example, let's say you are having the pin code of your states. For example, in United States, there would be different states, right? So every state will have a unique pin code. So
Yeah.
those pin codes, let's assume like in your company, your users are constantly referring to those pin codes again and again. So instead of hard coding it in your programming language, or instead of again and again querying from the database, so if you put a query, every time it will hit the database memory and everything will be utilized, and it will be stored in a buffer, like, okay, so buffer cache it will be stored. Think of like every day thousands and more than thousands of users are again and again using that. In that case, your performance might take a hit. So to reduce that, this custom settings was introduced by Salesforce. So instead of hard coding the values in your programming, and instead of again and again querying, you can, if you include those pin code values in this custom settings. Actually, custom setting is also an object, but it is a special object wherein which the values which you store inside, it is easier to retrieve from your database. Instead of querying, it will be saved in your app cache. So again and again, that retrieval will be reduced in the backend, and performance would be improved. And you can use this for the two usage of custom settings would be, there is no need for you to again and again query from the database, and your performance would be improved. And if you wish to hard code any values in your programming language, instead of that, you could use this. So in future, think of like as in one more scenario. I told in United States there are many states and each state would have a pin code, right? So think of like in your programming language, in the coding, you have included those pin codes. Okay. In future, if at all, if a new state is being included, or think of like the pin code is getting changed for your state, the government is changing the pin code of the state, and in that scenario, you will have to again come to your coding. You will have to change that, and I hope you know, in Salesforce, you cannot do any coding changes directly in production. Even let it be a small, even a single line of change, code change, you will have to do it in sandbox, then migrate, move it to test, then again move it to production. Then it will validate it. You have to create changes. There is a hectic processes there. Um, of course, you can automate it if you're using DevOps, and there are so many tools available. But then still, it is a tedious process. So instead of that, if at all in future, if there are any changes going to come, if you include that value in the custom settings, automatically, if at all, if you change that value in the custom setting, that will be reflecting automatically. It will reflect in the code, because you would be referring it as a global variable. There are certain variables called global variables available in Salesforce: dollar user, dollar component, dollar settings. So whatever value which you give inside this custom setting, you would be referring using the word dollar setting. If you're using this word, you can access the values which you give inside. So as an admin itself or a business user, he himself, if at all if there is going to be any change in future, if he changes the values in custom settings, automatically it would reflect in the code. So there are no need to touch the code. Okay. So these are all the few advantages of custom settings, which you would be seeing in practical when we are seeing the development. So that's why I said development. Actually, the real implementation of this custom setting is like it would be used in development only. The syllabus which they have mentioned here, like in a random way they have put. So what I am explaining actually is like we are going in first, what are all the configuration in point and click, the first level what Salesforce has given, what are all the features which they have given, and how
Yeah.
practically that could be implemented. We are seeing it. Once we move on to your development, so there practically what are all the features which Salesforce has given, and as and when additionally there are few things here. They have given only custom settings, but there are custom labels are there, custom metadata is there, which are recently being introduced. I hope this syllabus was pretty old, I think. So, and like those features are there, which we would be seeing automatically. I don't think like lightning they would have added anywhere here. See, lightning is missing. So again, that is actually again missing area which
Yeah,
we
you
need
can
to.
ask them to update it.
Yeah, definitely, I will do that. Okay, so we have seen till pick list. We have seen like dependent pick list, multi-select pick list, lookup relationship, master detail, different types of relationships. Everything we have seen. Schema builder. This is nothing like relationships we seen last week, right? So today I can explain. This is again a small concept only. So think of like you have developed an application from the scratch. You have created object, you have created field, you have created relationship. In that case, you would be knowing what is that you have done. Okay, but think of a scenario where in which someone else has done till relationship. Someone else has created application, object, field, pick list, data type till relationship. Someone has done, and he has left the company, and now you are replacing his position. Okay, so they are giving KTs and trainings, this, that, everything they are giving, but then still you don't have full clarity on the application. But then from here on, you will have to move forward. But the basics or ABCs of Salesforce, the data modeling, object, in particular, that relationships, what is who, which object is parent, which object is child. Without knowing that, you cannot proceed further. Let it be the first level features or functionalities which Salesforce has given, or your next level development. Without knowing the relationships, you cannot proceed further in Salesforce. So to have a better understanding or clarity, the pictorial or the visual representation of your relationships, it will be shown here in Schema Builder. On the left side in settings, if you just type in Schema Builder, I will be showing now once we share the screen of my Salesforce screen. In setup left side, if you just type in Schema Builder, whatever relationships which you have in your org for the objects, it would be pictorially represented. To visually or pictorially represent this objects, relationship between the objects, you can see it here. Okay, last week we saw the relationships, right, among employee, PF, payroll. So now if we go and check in Schema Builder, that relationship will be shown. So which one is lookup, which one is master detail, which one is parent, which one is child. So even from this, once you know this, from this on, you by yourself can proceed further. So this is the base. So how much, what are the customizations, or what are maximum, what are the requirements which would come from, require from the user. If you see like from parent record, if I do some changes, it should reflect in child. So from child, if I do some make some changes, it would reflect in my parent. So that roll up summary field which we were asking a couple of weeks before, like that is again based on your master detail relationships. So in master detail, which one is parent, which one is child. So in from the roll up summary field, you can add only in the parent. In parent of a master detail relationships. In master, if you add that field, it will aggregate the details of the child. What are all the details which you can aggregate? If you say count, some, minimum, maximum. So that are the functions which are available with which you can aggregate the values of the child object and you can show it in your parent. So these are all the basic steps. So without knowing our relationships, you cannot do anything. So to visually see the relationship, you can go and check in the schema builder. Okay. Next is importing and exporting data, which I am yet to explain. That tool I said, right, data loader, a one-time bulk data loading from some other instance or from some legacy CRM system or legacy system to a Salesforce. If you want to do a one-time data load, you can be doing that. There are so many tools available, but Salesforce recommends data load. It is a third-party tool, but now Salesforce has bought it, I think. Earlier it was like a import wizard that will also be available in setup. If you search for import wizard, that would also be available, but it has its own limitations. Last week I would have said you can load only up to 50,000 records only. You can load certain standard objects. It will not work. But in data loader it will support everything. So in practical we will be seeing that we are yet to see. So in the next by next week or after that we will be seeing. Okay. So next is company profile. I would have shown last time company profile information, where to go and see the login information which you have stored when you sign up the page. Whatever information which you have given, that will be shown here in the company profile. Now, today we are going to see about security and sharing. So there I will be explaining about licenses profile, again company profile. This page I will be showing. Next, user setup. Again, in security and sharing, now we will be showing how to create a user. Everything we will be seeing now. Today we will be seeing. Next comes your security, which we are going to see now. Okay, creating users, roles, profiles, public groups, login as IP ranges, how to manage your company information, sharing records. Everything we will be seeing now in security and sharing. Next comes your workflow approval process. So post which we will be seeing reports, and after that we will be able to see this validation tool, formula field, record type, roll up summary field, everything we will be able to see. After lastly we can see about your that data import, data loader, importing wizard. So that way we could see. Next, before moving to
Deployment, right?
yeah,
So
before moving to development, they have given deployment. Usually I used to explain this in the last, because the still till now they have done only configuration, right? So after this we'll be doing customization using development. So that will also be added when you are in real time. If you see, you will be doing everything from the scratch till your last, using a Visual Force, Apex, everything you will complete, and then finally you will add it in the chain set, and then you will
one
move from sandbox to production. And you can also distribute, you can create a package. For example, I am now using I am creating one application in my org, right? I am showing. So HR application which we are seeing now, it is in my org. Once we are completing the session, at the end of the session I can create a package and give that package to you. I can give one URL to you. So if you install, you can install that URL in your org, which you are having in your development org. You can install. So this works exactly like your App Exchange, from App Exchange or from Play Store or from App Store. You'll be installing an application, right? So in the same way, I can also create a package which whatever application I'm doing it, and I can share that with you. And once you install that package, the same whatever things which I have been doing here, that would be available in your org. So in that way you can do it, and how to create a package, everything we'll be seeing. All these are self-explanatory, point and click only. This should not be a manager or a team leader or an admin would be doing
Yeah.
all such stuffs usually in Salesforce, or a consultant he would be doing. Next comes your Salesforce One mobile application user interface, which I was explaining. Like, if you hear the word Salesforce One, it is exclusively for mobile. So next your Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, which I said like I will be explaining I have already given an overview, but then in
Yes.
depth about what are all the features that are available, that I could be able to explain in the separate session. So features of chat, if you see that are the same which I have shared. You can create a group, you can share a record, you could create a community and share that particular record with the community. And if at all, if your user is also a Salesforce user, you could share everything instead of going to another alternative. So all those are all will come under the features of chat. So this would be the first level, and next comes your Apex and Visual Force. So all these are your roots concepts, and it will go. Is it fine, Yolanda? So today, like we will be saying about security. So today we are going to see about sharing and security, or security features in Salesforce. So what is the significance of security? If you see, like we are going to develop an application, right? So and it would be available across. For an organization or for an enterprise only, we will be developing an application. In an enterprise, definitely you would be having hierarchy. So whatever applications you develop, it should not be accessible to everyone. If at all, if it is going to be accessed by everyone, then there is no point of developing an application. So there are certain features which should be available for the CFOs, CIOs, for the management people, and there should be certain features which should be available only for the middle managers, and there are certain features which should be available only for the end users. There should be some features which should be available for only the entry level candidates or employees. So like these kind of mechanisms and all, it is possible in Salesforce using this security feature. So for an admin or for a developer, this is very important, because for an admin this would be their daily job which they would be doing in real time, and for a developer, when he or she develops an Salesforce application, uh, these things has to be taken into consideration. In the BRD itself, they would be clearly telling what level of security and who are all the users who are going to use the application, and what is the level of security which you should provide for the application at the object level, field level, at the record level. Everything would be explained very clearly in the BRD itself. So these things have to be taken into consideration when you are starting the development. Okay, so these features are very mandatory. Why? Because like, think of like you are developing a critical application which is going to hold a sensitive data. Like in US, social security number is very sensitive, right? So think of like you are going to hold the data of that in your application, and which needs to be maintained with extra care. In that case, how can you do that? Using the security features, you can make use of it and you can make that data secure. And one more thing I would have explained, we being Salesforce admin or a developer or as consultant, all the features on the right side, left side, all applications and on setup, everything would be, for us it would be visible. But for an end user, if you see, only the application for which he or she has access, it would be accessible. They would be able to see only that. For example, if he is a sales user, I mean, if he belongs to business development team or sales team, he would be able to access only sales application. If he is a call center employee, he would be able to access only the call center application. If at all he is a HR employee, he would be able to access only the HR application. Fine. So how it is possible to provide such kind of restrictions inside Salesforce? So everything we would be able to see in today's session. Okay. So this is pretty important, as I said, from as a developer or as an admin, both in your certifications and in your real-time interviews also. In real time, when you are doing your work, and in interviews and in certifications, they should cover some 20% of your thing would be covered. Of all the topics in Salesforce, this is pretty important when you take it to the first level, actually. So the security and whatever materials or videos which you see, this would be pretty confusing. So how much ever you do. So once you get into Salesforce, and once you have a very distributed environment and more number of users, and once you have got issues so much, and once you have seen it after 1 or 2 years only, you will get that clarity or confidence in this area. But now here we will be seeing in practical of how to achieve that to the max possible. Okay. So in security, if you see, there are 4 levels of security: application level, object level, field level, and tab, and finally your record level security. Okay, 5 levels of security: application level, object level, field level, tab level, record level. How to control an application, how to control an object, how to control a field, how to control a tab, and how to control a record. So if you take, like as I said, what application you should see, what application I should see. Inside that application, what objects you should see, what objects I should see. Inside that object, what fields should I see, what fields should you see. And inside that application, what are all the tabs which should be made enabled, disabled. So all these kinds of things, it would be explained using 2 features in Salesforce. Okay, for your application, object, field, and tab, these two are the base, and these terminologies needs to be remembered when it comes to security: profile and permission set. So what is a profile, what is a permission set, and what is its significance, what does it control? Everything we will be seeing now. Okay, your application level, object level, field level, tab level. So these things are taken care by profiles and permission sets. For record level security, if you see, there are 4 things which needs to be remembered. Okay, in record level, there are 4 things: OWD, organization wide default. Next comes role hierarchy, or simply called as roles. Next, manual sharing rules. So all these are being taken care for your record. For example, I should be able to see application, object, field, tab, but inside that, what records should I see? My manager, if he opens and sees the object, he should be able to see 100 records. But if his subordinate opens and sees the same, he should be able to see only the records which he has created, or for which he is the owner. For example, whatever record you create, you are the owner. For whatever record I create, I would be the owner of that particular record. So if I am your subordinate, let's assume like you are my manager and I am your subordinate. In that case, whatever records which I create only should be visible to me. So think of like I have created 10 records, then I should be able to see only 10 records. But you being manager, all subordinates or reportees under you, you should be able to see. So in that case, you would have access to more number of records. So that record level security, it is taken care by four different features: portability, roles, manual sharing, and sharing rules. So we'll be seeing about everything in practical after we see a little overview. Okay, first let's start with the application object field tab, for which we have seen, as I said, profiles and permissions. So what is a profile and what does it control? So profile is the base in Salesforce. Okay, every user in Salesforce should have a profile. Without profile, a user would not be able to log into Salesforce. Okay, so profile, it is the base in Salesforce. So if some user wants to log into Salesforce, he should have a profile. So if you think like you have logged into Salesforce, right? You would have created a login account, and then after that you would have logged into Salesforce. So you could question what profile was given to me. By default, Salesforce assigns the superior profile. In profiles itself, there are superior profiles with the full access and less number of access and limited number of access. So once you create your login and log into Salesforce, by default, Salesforce gives you the superior profile, which is the system administrator profile. Okay, so which has the full access to everything, all applications, all objects, all fields. So by default, that would be assigned to you. This being your, this would be the case when you have a created developer arc. Okay, in case of your real time, when you are implementing Salesforce, from Salesforce they would be implementing, or a third party company who is doing service or consulting, they would be doing implementation for you, right? So till the time implementation gets fully done, for someone from their side, they would be having the system administrator profile and they would do everything, whatever you are saying. Once the implementation is completed, when they are leaving, they will ask you to give names of any one or two in your team to have the system administrator. Usually two or more than that, because like once if someone forgets the password of the system administrator, the other would be able to restore it, because system administrator's passwords can be restored only by the other system administrator, or at all, if you are a paid user, if you are using a $300 paid version, unlimited edition, then you can request or raise a case to Salesforce, and he would be able to restore your password. But then if you forget the username password of your developer arc, which we are seeing here, then there is no way to restore it. It is very hard, because this being free organized or which they have provided, every a user can have any number of profile or user account, right? So every time if someone forgets, they cannot raise a case, and even if you raise a case also, getting a response from Salesforce is very hard. So if it is a paid version, then the Salesforce would be of an assistance, if at all if you forget, if the system administrator forgets the password. Uh, and also there is an alternate way, like if another system administrator, he can restore the password, that is possible. But this profileless, every user should have a profile. Then only he can log into Salesforce. Okay. So what is that control? So in security and sharing, if you see with the profile only, they will be able to see. So what is a profile? So this profile only will control everything. Your application object tab, fields, till fields, everything will be controlled by your profiles only. Except records, all the remaining things are controlled by your profile. In your earlier mobiles, like in Nokia, if you take the basic feature or basic phone, where you will have different profiles, right? So if you select one profile, the background, the image will change, the ringtones will change, your complete setup will change. Next, if you select some other profile, if you go to silent mode or vibrate mode, you will have general mode, and you can also customize your profiles in your mobiles. The same way, what application one way user should see, what object inside that application, what object a user should see, inside that what fields a user should see, what tabs a user should see. Everything is being controlled by profile. Okay, so by default there are 6 standard profiles in Salesforce. So in till now you have seen how to create an object, field, records and all. You would have done from the scratch, right? Click on new, click a new record, field, object, tab, everything you would have created newly. But profile alone in Salesforce, you cannot do it like that because you are new to Salesforce. For me, like 7, 8 years before, it would be new for me also Salesforce. So what does a profile control? What are all the things? And in every release, features are getting added up. So now in the recent release also they have included the password policies, the session timeout, everything that were available for the before and all for all employees in your company. They would you can if you set a session timeout, all employees in your company will have a same session timeout. But now for a group of people you can have a separate session. For example, for sales people you can have separate session timeout. For service people you can have separate session timeout. So that is being controlled by your profile only. So now in the recent release, Salesforce has included that in your profile. So features are getting added in as and when in every release. So we don't know what does our profile control. So what Salesforce has done is like they have given 6 standard profiles like system administrator, read only, marketing user, and a few more. So usually, but in real time, if you see people used to the recommended practice or the way is to clone it from your system admin profile. So search for on the setup left side system admin, go to profiles, system admin profile, and you can start creating a new profile, and it would ask from which profile you want to clone it. So if you click on system admin, it will a copy of from your system admin will be created, and you can give a name, and after that you can customize it. Like what are all the applications, because it would be little easier, pretty easier. Like as system admin will have full access to everything. Think of like you wish to have give me a limited access, then you would create a profile cloning from system admin, and you will disable all the things. So you will disable what are all the applications which I don't wish to see. You will disable. So instead of enabling it and searching and enabling it, it is a little easier to disable everything. First enabling it everything from the system admin, and then disabling it. Once we see it in practical, you will be able to have very good understanding. So for now, we are seeing an overview only. So as I said, profile is the base in Salesforce, and how to create a profile, you will have to create it from the already existing profiles only. So what does a profile control? If you see, okay, all these things are controlled by Salesforce, starting from your application, object, field, tabs, general user permissions. Like as I said, right, end users they not have access to setup. If you have that option only, you would be able to customize or configure. But the end users, it is not needed for them. So we would be disabling that. So that feature will be available in your general user permissions. So if someone else is creating a report, then that should be it is not mandatory, like it should be visible to everyone. Think of like the sales team is creating a report. It is not mandatory for a HR teams to see that report. So the what kind of reports, folders, data, everything you should be able, one should be able to see. That kind of restrictions or access that would be provided, all kind of access that would be given in the general user permissions. So I meant to explain about record types and page layouts. So that is also being controlled by your profile. I will be doing that. So next, Apex class visual course page. So if you are creating a visual course page or an Apex class, and if I wish to see that, you should give me access. Then only I would be able to see that. So that is also being controlled by your profile. So once you create a visual course page, you should add that in the profile so that in my profile, then only I would be able to see. If I am a system administrator, I would be able to see everything. But think of like other than system admin, any other profile which has a restricted or limited access than when compared to your system admin. In that case, you will have to manually provide the access. Then only I will be able to see that. Next would be your session timeout, which I have explained. Next, login policies. Earlier, before like 3-6 months before, this was like for your entire organization, but now they have made it for a profile. So at the profile level, they have given it. So these are all things which a profile controls. Next, if you see, one thing which I wish to add here is okay, I thought of telling something, but I forgot. So I'll again explain when I come. Next would be your permission set. So what is a permission set? Correct. This is what I was wishing to add. So profile always okay. Always create a profile for group of users. In real time, if you see in any company or in any organization, your profile will be created for group of users only, not for a single user. Every user will not have he or she should not have a single profile. For example, for me, one profile, for you, a different profile, and for anybody. So think of like if at all if there is 1,000 users in one company, 1,000 profiles should not be created. Those 1,000 users should be grouped. They would be belonging to some department, right? For example, sales department, there will be 100 people, service department 100 people, HR department at 100 people, system administrators if you see at 10 people, in IT 100 people, in Salesforce like 50 people. So all these people should be grouped and they should be given one profile. So for sales, if you see all those sales people, they would create a profile and they will assign to all the sales users. Okay, and for service group, if you see, they will create one profile and they will give assign all the same service profile to all the service users. The same way for system administrators, IT, for every department, they will create one profile and they will assign it to everybody. Okay, and think of like what if you could question what if like in that group some users alone need to have some extra privilege or extra access. That is where your permission set comes in. Okay. Next is your permission set. That is, this is the extension of your profile. Actually, profile is the base, and it should be assigned for group of users. Okay. If some users in that group need extra access, then in that case, we will create a permission set, and we will give that extra level of access to that user alone, and we could assign that permission set to that particular user. That is where the permission set came in. It was released in winter 2012. Now winter 2017 is going to come. So 5 years before, Salesforce provided this feature. So what is the need? Why should they introduce? Why did they introduce the permission set? If you see, this was the reason. Okay, so this is the most valid point. So if there are 1,000 users, maximum 10 profiles they can have. It is not the thumb rule, or it is not so they have it. which Salesforce is restricting or forcing, like you should always maybe for 1,000 users are there, you should create only 10 profiles, 20 profiles. No, they don't restrict, but it is better to have less number of profiles for a more number of users. Why? Because in future it would be easier for the company, consultants who are working in Salesforce. It would be easier for them to maintain. If at all, if there are daily for one user, if you are creating a profile, and someday you will get confused like for which profile which user has been assigned. So always it is recommended to have assign a profile for a group of users. Okay. Next, if you see permission set. So permission set is the extension of Salesforce. Sorry, profile. So as I said, profile is for group of users, right? So what if like in that particular group, one person alone needs to have extra access? Extra access in the sense, every object in Salesforce will have four access. Every object will have four access: create, read, edit, and delete. Okay. Think of like you are a manager, so you will have full access for that particular object. Employee object is there, you have full access to that. If I am your subordinate, I will have only read access. Okay, and all subordinates reporting to you are having the same profile, read access alone. If someone wishes to have extra access, what could you do? Okay, creating a separate profile is fine, but what if like this cannot be, this is not a feasible solution, right? Every time if someone needs an extra level of access for one particular object for one user alone, if you start creating profile, at the end of the day you will have numerous and n number of profiles, which Salesforce does not recommend, and it is not also an ideal or feasible solution. In that case, you could create a permission set for that particular object alone, provide extra level of access, create or edit that access you give, and assign that particular access to your subordinate, that particular subordinate, for a temporary period of time or for extended period of time, whatever time which you wish to provide. That way you can give that extra level of access to that particular user alone in that group. So for that, this permission set came in. Okay, so one real-time business scenario, if you look at, I think of like for the employee object, uh, the same only. The manager has all managers have same profile, and all subordinates have same profile. All managers have full access, and all subordinates have read-only access. I think of like the manager is going on a trip for a business vacation for 1 month. So for the temporary period, that 1 month alone, all the subordinates, if we assume the number to be 50, in that 50 member subordinate team, only one should be taken care of the activities which the manager was doing. The manager was doing in that particular object, he was creating a record, he was editing a record, he was deleting a record till now. But he is now going for a 1 month off. So this 1 month alone, someone from the 50-member team should be able to carry out the activities which the manager was doing in this particular object. So how can you do that? All managers have same profile. All subordinates have same profile. Now if you change the profile of a manager, all managers will get affected. The same way, if you change the profile of the subordinates, all subordinates will get full access. So both ways it is not an ideal solution. If you say like we can create a separate profile for that one subordinate alone, till the time he comes we could assign that profile, and once he comes back we could restore it back to the earlier profile which the subordinate was having. Fine, but as I said, like if you are doing that today, tomorrow in some other team, if some other subordinate wants to have this, again you will be start creating one profile. Again the same happens for the remaining teams also. So it is not recommended. So for that only, Salesforce brought in permission set to provide an extra permission for a single user or a group of users for a temporary period or for an extended period or for fully. You could give this assign this permission set to the particular user so that you would have that extra level of access. It is actually an extension of profile in Salesforce. As I would have already said one point when I was explaining relationships, always in Salesforce you can create relationships only from child to parent and not from parent to child, correct? So the same way in security, always when you are going up the ladder, there is a ladder. As I said, profile is the base. Next comes your permission set. So there is a ladder, right? So in this ladder, always you cannot restrict security. Okay, always in Salesforce, you cannot restrict security. You can only open up security when you are going up the ladder. Okay. In so what does this mean? So profile is the base, permission set is the extension. In profile level, if you have controlled the security using permission set, you can open up. Okay. In profile level, if you have said for the object, it should not be visible. This think of like you have given only read access. Then using permission set, you can create, you can give access, you can give the remaining access. But the other way, in the profile level itself, you have given full access. Okay. Then it is not possible to control or restrict using permission set. Using permission set, you can only extend the access and you cannot restrict the access. Okay. Profile is the base and permission set is the extension. This is the main thing point which you have to remember. So when you are taking up the certification examinations in this area, usually all scenario questions, I hope you know, like of the 60 questions, 50 questions would be scenario based only. So straightforward questions would be very minimal when you, in case of Salesforce, in interviews, in your certifications, in your real time, wherever you go, it all would be scenario based only. So in scenario based, if you see, you should have be able to remember the points. So here, when it comes to this topic, this is the area where you should focus on. So this one point will help you, to realize so many scenarios. Okay, now having explained, I have told what is a profile, what is a permission set, what is its significance, and what does it control, and also about how does it take. Now I'll tell one real-time example. You give me your suggestion, like because of which reason this would be happening. There is one custom object, employee object, and as I said, any object will have create, read, edit, and delete access. So using profile, I have given access to. Using profile, I have given full access. Okay. Then I am creating one permission set for the same object, and I am giving only read access, and I am assigning the permission set to you. Okay. There is one custom object, employee object. I'm creating one profile, and I'm giving full access for that profile, and I'm assigning that profile to you. Again, I'm creating one more permission set, and in that I'm giving only read access, and I'm assigning this permission set also to you. Now, when you access that particular object, what level of access you will have? Whether you will have full access or you will have only read-only access. Can you suggest? Can you guess? I have, in profile level, I have given full access for you. I have assigned the profile to you. Then I am creating one permission set. In permission set also, in permission set I am giving only read access, and I am assigning the permission set also to you. So now for that object, whether you will have full access, I mean in all 4 access, whether you will have, or only read access you will have. And why?
Full access.
Full access.
Because permission set is used to give extra access, right?
Yeah. So why are you saying like you will have full access? Justification?
Because permission set we are using to give extra for example, here in the employee, we don't have create,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Employee object. You can use permission set to give create also, right? Give that extra.
Okay. 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 Correct. So exactly. So as I said, in security, the point to be remembered is always you can only extend the security and you cannot restrict security. So profile is the base, correct? So now what I said in the profile level itself, I have given full access. So then there is no point in creating another permission set, but because here itself you have been provided with read access, right? So now
Correct.
even if you provide this, this will not take any effect and this will not impact. This will not have any impact or effect on your object. So you will have full access only because of this profile. Okay. Okay. Now I'm changing the scenario. One more scenario. And the same object at the profile level, I am giving only create and read.
Yeah, so permission set you can give those.
So
Read we don't,
so
but you can
now
give
in if you see like when at the profile level, I have given only create and read. Okay,
yeah.
and then I'm creating one permission set, and in permission set I'm giving all access, and I'm assigning that permission set also to you. Now answer me for this particular object, what level of access you will have, whether full access or only create and read.
Yeah, now we have full access.
And
So
that is because of permission set. Okay,
permission.
last time also full access, but that was because of profile, and this time because of permission set. Okay, now let's assume like here you have only read access. Okay, and here you have read and create. So now what level of access you will have for this particular object?
You have create also.
Okay, yeah, exactly,
You can do
correct,
create.
yeah, fine. So this is how your scenario-based questions would be. Whatever I asked, it would be like a big 3-line or a 4-line sentence, where in which they would have explained you are the application name, the object name, the field name, the user, you are this profile permission set, this level of access, that access. So they would have explained why it's in 5-6 lines. They would have explained. But the hint for this one would be your this one single line. Always in Salesforce, you cannot restrict security, you can only open up security. So with this, you can take up any type of scenarios where in profiles and permission sets, whatever questions which are being asked wherever you go in Salesforce, this is going to be the same. And in real time also, whenever there would be a scenario where a user would be coming and saying, my colleague is able to see one particular application, I am not able to see. So which area you should go and diagnose, or which area you should go and check if you see, debug if you see, it is actually profile. So if you check in the profile, that user will be having a different profile, this user will be different profile. For this profile, for that particular application, he would not have been given access. Then how could he be able to see, correct? So and then another scenario, he will say, I'm able to see the application, but I'm not able to see the objects. My employee, my friend is able to see all objects, and I'm able to see only few. So where should we go and check profile? So if you both have same profile, then you should go and check their permission set, whether they have any extra, his friend has extra permission set, you have to go and check. Same way for field and tab. So this is how you will have to go and check, or when you are creating application for the first time, you will have to take into consideration based on the BRDs, you will be doing everything. And in future, once the project is deployed and it is going fine, and during, in future, if someone comes up with, I'm not able to do this, do that, so this is where you will have to go and see. So till field level, till field, you would be able to check using control, using profiles and permission set. Okay, now everything is fine. I'm able to see application, I'm able to see object, field, tab. But inside that object, when it comes to record, my colleague is able to see 20 records, but I am not. I am able to see only 10 records. Okay, in that case, this case, where should you go and check? So that is where your record level security comes in, and there are 4 things which needs to be taken care of, remembered here. This is actually OWD, roles, manual sharing, and sharing rules. So OW stands for organization-wide default. As I said in earlier, like your application object field, profile is the base, right? The same way in record level security, your OWD is the base. In the ladder, this comes first. Okay, so this has three types of settings. Okay, private, public read or write, controlled by parent. So always when you create a custom object, this organization-wide default is actually for objects. Okay, this is actually it is for objects. So this is the base in your record level. So what is the record which a user should see and the other user should not see? That is for that the base is your OWD. Okay. So there are four types of OWD: private, public read or write, controlled by parent. Okay. By default, whenever you create a custom object in Salesforce, Salesforce will give public read or write access. Okay. By default, this would be there. But in real time, no object should have public read or write OWD. It will not have and it should not have. Okay, always OWD should be private for all the objects. It will be private. In 95% of the cases, it will be private until and unless it is a less accessible application, less accessible object, wherein which it can be accessed by everyone, right from CEO to the base level employee. Everybody can access. Except that case, maximum most of the objects it would be in private only. Okay, why? If the same like the explanation which we saw for your profile, if you open up the in profile itself, if you say you can everybody can see, then there is no need of permission set, right? In the same way only here, if you say this, I said OWD is the base. So if you say public read or write here itself, if you say public read or write in OWD itself, you are saying like everybody can see everything. So then there is no need of your remaining things, correct? Roles, manual sharing rules. These things come above your OWD. OWD is the base. Above that comes roles. Above that manual sharing, and above that sharing rules. Okay. So if you what I said, when you are going up the ladder, always you can only extend security and you cannot restrict security. So in OWD, if you have restricted, you can open up using roles, manual sharing rules. In OWD itself, if you have done public, then everybody can see everything. So there is no need of the remaining things, roles, manual sharing, and sharing rules. So always in real time for any object, your OWD should be private. But by default, when you create any particular object, it will be Salesforce will assign public reader, right? So you should we have to manually go and change the OWD of any particular object to private. Okay, this is the first thing in your record level security. Once you have made it as private, only record owners will be able to see that particular record. Do you understand? Let's take the scenario of employee object itself. On employee object, you are creating one record. I am creating one record. So we have created the employee object today. So what I said, by default, when we create a custom object, Salesforce will assign the OWD as public reader rate. So public reader rate has been assigned to employee object. So when you create a record, you have created one record, I have created one record. So when you see, you would be able to see my record. When I see, I would be able to see my record and your record also. The same holds good for your scenario. Why? Because the OWD is public read or write. Because it is public, anybody who creates the record in that particular object, anybody would be able to see. But in real time, that should not be the case, that would not be the case. So if you make the OWD for that particular employee object as private, then whatever records you create, it would be visible only to you. Whatever records I create, it would be visible only to me. So after we make the OWD as private, The record which I created will be visible to me. The record which you created will be visible to you. So this is the main purpose of OWD, and record owners only will be able to see their particular records. Okay, and OWD is the base for your record level security. Next comes your role hierarchy. Okay, fine. We have made OWD as the OWD as private. So whatever records you create, you are able to see. Whatever records I create, I will be able to see. We both, let's assume we both have one manager. Okay, he will not be doing anything, because in most of the organizations, if you see, like people management, managers will not be doing groundwork, right? Let's take Salesforce itself. They will not be creating any records and all in Salesforce. Lead generation, all that they would be seeing is managing people, and that's all they will be seeing. So let's assume like we both have one manager. So as we made OWD as private for that particular employee object, the records which I create, I will be able to see. The records which you create, you are the record owner, so you will be able to see. But our manager didn't create any records, so he is not the record owner for any record, right? So he will not be able to see any records, correct? So because OWD is private, as our manager is not the record owner for any records, he will not be able to see any records. But that should not be the case, right? So usually managers should be able to see what their subordinates are doing. So to fit in this scenario, Salesforce has brought in role hierarchy. Okay. So if we create a role for our manager, so if we create a role called manager and assign that role to our manager, and we will create one more role called associates, and we will assign this associates to myself and you. In this case, and I'll be making like this. This role is reporting to this. Associate's role is reporting to manager. So who is an associate? Myself and yourself are an associate. So if we define a role hierarchy like this, once we define this, automatically what are all the records which are created by the subordinates that would be visible to their immediate supervisor, or the hierarchy level, whomsoever is higher than you, they would be able to access the records. So after this, our manager, he would be able to see whatever records which I created and whatever records which you created on the particular employee object. Once we define this role hierarchy, automatically Salesforce system will take care of this. Okay. And the thing to remember here, so what I said, once you define this, uh, all the immediate supervisors, they would be able to see their subordinates records, correct? If you take any organization, there would be many lines of business, many verticals you might have. You might have banking, you might have retail, you might have healthcare, and each vertical will have its own hierarchy, right? So think of like an associate of healthcare has created one record. A manager of banking, he is requesting, I am not able to see the record created by the healthcare associate. Why should he be able to see? Because he is not at all falling under this hierarchy, correct? So whatever the hierarchy in which it goes, the immediate supervisors, for example, the associates of healthcare, the healthcare manager, he will be able to see. Healthcare senior manager, he would be able to see. Healthcare director, he would be able to see. Healthcare VP, he would be able to see. The same way holds good for your remaining verticals also. This cross vertical access is, it's not possible, and it is also in real time that does not make sense. Okay, because in real time issues will come. I am the director of this company, I am not able to see the records. For which vertical you are a director? So we will have to question them. So for which vertical you are a director, and who are all your immediate subordinates, and who are their subordinates. So then only we will be providing access. And also this role would be misleading. Somewhere they would be taking like I am the director, you are the director, that is the role which HR has given to you. This role is different from the role which, or the designation which the company has given. Okay, this role is actually for to see the records in Salesforce, that's all. So even though you might be a director in your company, but in Salesforce, if you are going to use Salesforce very minimally, they would have given least level of access for you. For the director also, they would have given some least level of role access. So in that case, he would be able to see only limited records. In Salesforce, if they have given a top level role, then he would be able to see all the records. Okay, so this is what defines about the role hierarchy. The main purpose of this is to the immediate supervisors should be able to see their subordinate records once OWD is private. Okay, this is the main purpose of role hierarchy. So when we are saying in practical, we would be able to see. As I said, this role is different, that role is different. Usually, people will tend to get confused with profile and role. Profile controls only field, application, object, tab, field. That's all. Your records only are being controlled by role. So R for R, you can remember like this. Roles control records. If a particular tomorrow, if someone is coming and saying, Delanta, I'm not able to see opportunity. I'm not able to see one particular opportunity. But myself and my colleague has same profile, same permission set, everything we have same, but we are not able to see that particular record. So he is a particular opportunity. So opportunity in the sense it is actually a record. It is a record in opportunity object, right? So now where should you go and debug if you see it is actually in role. What role they have actually, what role that this particular user has, what role the other user has. So if you go and cross check whether this role is reporting to that role, if you see there would be a small change over there. So once we see practically, you would have better understanding. So roles control records. So if someone is not coming and saying I'm not able to see records, then it is actually roles. If someone is saying I'm not able to see an application object, then it is profile. Okay, so do not get confused. So this is what our small overview about your OWD and roles. Next is your manual sharing. To share a single record with the user. Okay, let's assume what I said. All associates now have same role, right? So you have created one record. I have created one record. So we both are in same designation, associate. So whatever record I have created, that should not be visible to you. Whatever record you have created, that will not be visible to me. So whomsoever is in the same designation, same cadre, whatever, think of like there are four people who are in the same designation generating leads daily for the marketing process. So their job is to generate lead daily. So as they are in the same designation, whatever work that is being done by one person, it will not be known to other person. As OWD is private and they falls under same role, so they will not be each other's person. They will not be able to access the other person record, right? In this case, let's assume one associate is going on a leave and he needs to complete one particular task on that day itself, but he is not able to do, but that needs to be delivered to the customer. So in that case, OWT being private, the user is not would be not able to share, see the particular record because he is the owner, right? OWT is private, so he is the owner. Only owners can be able to see that. So in this case, if an associate wants to share in a single record with another user, for example, I am also an associate, you are also an associate. So if I wish to share any particular record with you, then it's using manual sharing, I can do it. So after that, you would become, it would be shared with you, and while sharing, you can give whether read-only access or read-write access, you can give it based on the specification. So after that, the other user, he would be able to take care of the particular task. So okay, the use of manual sharing is actually to share a single record with the single user. Okay. Next, if you see sharing rules. So sharing rules, if you see, if it is going to be single record, no problem, you can share. Think of like if you want to share, some n number of records, some 1 lakh records if you want to share, and in future also whatever record you create that needs to be shared with me, or whatever records I create that will have to be shared by you. Uh, then in that case, what can you do? So that is where sharing rules come in. To share group of records with group of users. I told right, banking manager. if he says like I'm not able to see a record created by healthcare associate, it is actually not required. But if he is asking, if he is saying like I have asked permission from director, and now it is now your job, and I have got all levels of approval. So now it is your job to share the particular record with me. I need some business justification. He is requesting you to share the records created by a healthcare associate to the banking manager. So using role hierarchy, this is not at all possible, because whatever the immediate supervisor, the immediate vertical hierarchy only would be provided. So now this cross vertical hierarchy, then in this scenario, how to achieve this scenario? In that case, we will be creating a sharing rule. So based on role, whatever records created by this banking whatever records created by healthcare associate, that needs to be shared with the role of the banking manager. If you create a sharing rule, after that whatever records that were created earlier and after this whatever records that are going to be created, all will be automatically shared. Okay, so that is the usage of your sharing rules. If you want to share a group of records with a group of users, then you will go for sharing rules. So these are all the four concepts in your record level security: OWT, role hierarchy, manual sharing, and sharing rules. Fine. So this is actually an overview of about security and sharing. So this is actually a big concept, so it would require some 2 to 3 hours to explain actually. So for overview itself, it would take around 1.5 hours, and then for explaining in practical. So whatever we have seen now is actually an overview. Okay. Next, let's see in practical how to see this. Okay. So how we are going to see it? You see, practical, practically. First, we will be creating users. Okay, so you are one user, right? In your org, you will be one user. So what I said, in developer org, you can create maximum 2 users, correct? So what we are going to see here is we are going to create one more new user. So what is required for a user to create one user? So as I said, every user in Salesforce should have a profile, right? So we are going to create one user. So for that, what is required? So a profile is required. So we are going to create a profile. So how can a profile be created? Clone from existing profile. So where to go and access profile? Settings, profile, search for system admin, clone it, create one new profile, assign that profile to the new user. Okay, and you can have the username uh, can be different with same email ID. You would have given one email ID for you, right? For the second user, give username alone, give different. Let the email ID be the same. So whatever actions, whatever thing which you did, you would have created one user sign up, then you would have clicked on LinkedIn, and then you would have resetted password, right? The same way. Now you are a system admin. Okay, so you can create users, other users, and you can provide access to others. So with which we are going to create one more user. We are going to, for that we need a profile. We are going to create a profile, assign the profile to that user with the different username and same email ID. And after that, once we do this, we are going to save. And this is how you create one users in Salesforce. So then we'll reset the password of this, so that the email ID which you have mentioned, one email ID will come. So with which you can reset the password. Please give a different password for this particular user. Okay. Now in one browser, we would be logging in as you. Okay, in one user we would be logging in as yourself. Okay, on the left side click on users. So this is the task which we see. First we need to see security. So how we are going to see in practical? If you see here, Ganesh, this is the second user which I have created. So Ganesh, this would be you. So if you go and check your Delanta, would be your user. Okay, next, this is the second user. So how to create this? Go to setup, on the left side click on users, under manage users, come to this page, click on new user. It will take you to this page. Here see the mandatory fields, fill in all this. The email ID, give the same email ID which you have given to you, and the username alone give it some other name. Okay, and the license you can give a Salesforce. Salesforce for me it will not show. Why? Because I have used both the licenses. See here, for this user also Salesforce, for me also Salesforce. So this it will not be displayed for me. So license, you please give it as Salesforce. I will explain what is a Salesforce, what is a license, everything. So this role, if you see, you can give it as none, no problem. For now, when you are creating for the first time the user, you can give role none. Or later on stage, based on the requirement, if it is required, we will be able to assign it. But as I said, profile is only very mandatory for any user in Salesforce. So for that only, we will be creating one profile. So how to go create a profile? Click on profiles. It will take you to this page. So here all the profiles will be listed. Go to system administrator, click on yes. It will take you to all profiles. Here you will have many profiles. So here click on system administrator. This is the standard Salesforce profile which they have given it. So click on this standard system administrator profile. So from here, click, see here, clone is there, right? So click on clone and give a name for your profile, and after that click on save. This is how you create a profile. So see here, just check what a profile controls: your page layout, your field level security, your custom application, your connected app access, your tab, your custom tab, administrative permission. See here, standard objects. First comes standard object. Read, create, edit, delete. I said right, create, read, edit, delete. I'll explain view all, modify all, connected app, view all, modify all, everything I'll explain. So what is the use of that view all modifier? Next comes your custom object. Next comes external object, session settings, password policies, login hours, Apex class, visual post page, everything will be controlled by your profile. Once again, Delanda. Hello. Hello. சொல்லுங்க. ஒரு 5 நிமிஷம் ஆரம்பிச்சு. ஓ, எங்க வீட்டுக்கு வெளியே வரணும். சரி, ஒரு 2 நிமிஷம் வந்துடும். Okay, so these are all the things which are controlled by profile. So Delanta, like what we will be seeing is in one browser we will be logging in as you, and in another browser we will be logging in as the second user, and we will be creating a different profile for that user, and we will be making all changes for that user, and we will be saying for you it would be visible to everything will be visible to you because you are a system administrator. For the other profile, if you see, he would not be able to see. Why? Because we would be restricting all access to him. So this way we can see practically. So what I would recommend you now is to go and create one new user, one new profile, create one new user, give the license as Salesforce. I'll explain in the next session what exactly is the license, the company information, everything I'll be explaining. But in the syllabus it was mentioned, right? So I'll be explaining in the next, because it will take another 1.5 hours. So I thought of I have one more assignment now which I have to attend here. So in the next session, I will be able to explain. We'll start in practical of how to see whatever things which we saw today, security and sharing fully. As it is a little important, we'll be seeing attestation fully. Okay, and I will also be explaining about one more thing which you were asking, schema builder, right? In the left side, if you just click on schema builder, it will take you to schema builder. So just click on this. It would be visually just if you are created any relationship, just go and see how it is showing. So that is also there. So tomorrow I would be explaining, I would be able to show this also. So this is how the relationship is actually. Okay. So the relationship between the custom objects which we created last time. See here, HR, employee, and one to user. Okay.
So Ganesh, for security, we will just create one other profile and change the permissions, right? Because there is a restriction
Yes, yes, yes.
for this developer form.
Yeah, we will be able to create. You can create any number of profiles, any number of permission set, but you would be able to create only one user. One more user only you can create, but you can create any number of profiles, any number of permission set you can create, but you can
Okay.
create only one user. User is different, role is different, profile is different, permission set is different, license is different. Do not get confused. Okay, so that's what I said. Just go and have a look on users. See here, role is different, license is different, profile is different. You can create any number of roles, any number of profiles, but you can create only one user. So
One.
I would be explaining, you just have a look on this and try creating one user, one profile, everything, and be ready so that tomorrow we can log in one browser we can log in as you, and in another browser as second user, and we can try making changes so that we would be able to see practically that is how it is making the changes we would be able to see.
So can you create two users here? No, you have to log in.
Yeah, I cannot create now because already I have created two, right? So I have used both the licenses. So in my org, it is not possible now. I should, it is not possible to delete actually. So I have to deactivate it and then only create.
So I
So
will share my user to with you, or
yeah, in your org, you would be able to see actually. You would be able to create.
so to have a look. I need to share my details with you.
That's what I said. Like I have a small assignment engagement now, which personally I have to go now.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So you try creating one, and tomorrow in your org itself, let's try doing that. Plan.
Okay.
Okay, so tomorrow for sure we'll see how to create one user and how to do that, and we'll start with in your org.
So we are going to look at all those scenarios you elaborated.
Whatever we saw today, everything will be